Guys, what's up? How we doing? Timberwolves fans, game day. That's right. Prepare for battle. We're in Golden State tonight. First game on the road in this series against the Steph Curryless Golden State Warriors. Timberwolves, they come out, they win last game. Obviously, it's a big win, guys. It's always a big win, no matter who you face. You can only face who's in front of you. But with no Steph Curry, it was an interesting battle between the two teams. The Golden State Warriors, they looked like they were potentially lost or they were trying to figure out some stuff. They had 14 different players who played in the game. There was frustration by Draymond Green. We'll kind of get into everything and preview the game tonight. First of all, how you doing today, Matt? How you doing, Trip?
Doing well as always, man. It's game day. It's a great day.
Saturday game day. Couldn't be happier.
Can't even be better, man. And it's not a late tip, finally. I mean, for Trip, kind of, because he's in the East Coast, but for us, it's a nice 7 o'clock, 7:30 p.m. tip-off tonight, right around there. And we love that in Minnesota because we were tired of those 9:30 starts when we were facing the Lakers. But it should be a fun one tonight, guys. But Minnesota, they have to win the game, in my opinion. This is a must-win game for Minnesota because you can't give Golden State any hope. And if you give Golden State one more win, then I think there's the potential you could see maybe a Steph Curry return in game 5, even though we hear reports that it could be a game 6. What do you think about that, Matt?
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head right there. Tonight is a must win. If Golden State wins it tonight, that gives them all the momentum. And then we have to play another game in Golden State. Is it on Monday or Tuesday? One of those days. So it's going to be hard. The home crowd's going to be bumping either way. It's going to be bumping tonight. And then hypothetically, if Golden State gets a game tonight, Chase Center is going to be so loud, Steph Curry or not. And the Warriors are still a decent team. You know, Jimmy Butler's a good player. Draymond Green's a good player. He just can't let his emotions get ahead of him. Buddy Hield, when he's locked in, is probably one of the, if not the best shooter in the NBA. So if you're, like you said, it's a must-win game. Cannot let the Warriors regain momentum.
Yeah, I mean, I oddly enough am going into this with like weird energy. I don't know why. I hope that we don't get a flat performance. I kind of said it before, but like whenever we get a ton of days off, for whatever reason, this group plays like shit when they come off of like almost like winning a series like we did quickly has
Yeah.
hurt us in the past. I'll never not want to win a series in 5, right? But the less rest gives me hope, which is a bizarre thing to say. But I do kind of like I'm very cautiously optimistic going into tonight. I've seen what Golden State can do without Steph. At moments, it's worked, and so I'm just trying to be a little more cautious. I see a lot of people online in the Minnesota sphere that he steps out. Of course, he's one of the best players ever. And they think it's over. I don't believe that to be the case, strictly because a lot of guys on that team are playoff tested.
Yeah, and I just think too, it's like Jimmy Butler right now, he's just not playing like Jimmy Butler. And I feel like a little bit he's banged up for sure. But you come out and he gets approached, guys, after the game about that and how he's got to maybe drop 40 and not be just not be so much team oriented and put it on his back now. He's got to be the Batman now that Steph Curry's gone. And I think I could just see it in Jimmy's face that I think he's a little bit frustrated because he did say back to the reporters, what do you guys want me to do? Like, I play team basketball. Like, I like passing. I like being a playmaker. But I think you can tell that I could just tell by his face that Kerr had maybe said some stuff during the game. Other players had said stuff to him in the game. And he's kind of like, God, I know. And it's just frustration builds. But I think he's taking that along with the reporters, and he's going to come out and he's going to be huge. They got the Chase Center. They're at home. I think Jimmy Butler is going to explode. You can only keep a player like that down without having a big performance. I still think Minnesota has enough offensive power to overdo Jimmy Butler. If anything, honestly, Jimmy scoring 40 might be better for the Wolves in a weird way. It was like when Luka had that in the Lakers series, it was when Luka went off and the Wolves just won because he didn't involve other people. Because then Jimmy's assists go down. He would have to play one of those incredible games where you see him bent over the counter in Miami there. He needs one of those kind of games if Golden State has a chance in this series. And then if you can keep Buddy Hield down, I think, Minnesota has a good chance to win if you can keep Buddy Hield down. What's the key to keeping a guy like that down, Matt?
Yeah, so for Jimmy Butler, just a little stat for here for you guys right now. So when Jimmy Butler has been guarded by Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, or Jaden McDaniels so far this series, he is shooting a whopping 2 for 15 from the field, 13% from the field. So as long as we have one of those guys on Jimmy, I don't understand why this trend wouldn't continue.
Yeah.
But to your point, like you said earlier, Evan, it just feels like Jimmy has been super passive this series. It doesn't
So weird.
like an older player now. It's not Jimmy from Miami when he was bent over the counter who's able to go out and play 50 minutes a night. Like that's not who Jimmy Butler is anymore. But in a game without Steph Curry, if you're Jimmy Butler, shooting only 13 shots is unacceptable. Like coming from our end, dude, take 10 shots for all I care. I give 2 shits less, right? But if you're looking at this just from a basketball standpoint and the basketball fandom that we love, Jimmy Butler needs to take more shots if the Warriors want any chance to win this series. Minnesota's not going to come out and have many more flat games like we did game 1. I would like to say that Anthony Edwards isn't going to come out as flat as he has shooting and offensively in the first 2 games. So if you're Golden State, it's it's the same problem Minnesota has. How do you get your best player on the floor, involved in the offense, getting jump shots, and not being passive? That's the key to the series for both of these teams, I feel like.
Do you think, Trip, do you think Ant is, speaking of, because he was talking about Anthony Edwards and how he has to maybe come out. I don't know about you guys, but I think Ant, he's playing more banged up than we think. I don't know if you guys get the vibe. It was before even the injury last game. We saw him drop off. The last 3 games here, Anthony Edwards hasn't been himself necessarily. Not playing horrible, but just the aggression's down. Things are just down. I mean, but he's doing some other things, right? Some games he's gotten rebounds. The other game he was assists. He still had a high plus minus last game. I think it was massive that he did return in the game. I think that's a leadership thing. That's something that could change the series. As guys see him coming back from something like that, that's how important it is to Ant, a leader, to come back to show those guys what it's like. What do you think of Ant? Is he banged up, or is he playing through something, or is it just we're just waiting for him to explode like that 43-point game we saw in LA?
Yeah, I think it's so unfair of us, but he's so good so often that, like, when he has a decent game, to your point, his plus minus was great. Like it's what you need it to be. But when he doesn't go for 40 or like really take over a game, we sit here and wonder if he's injured or whatever the case may be. I don't know that he's banged. I mean, for non-Timberwolves fans, anytime Ant goes down, everyone I know that will text me and be like, "Oh my God, he tore his ACL," because he lays down for like 20 minutes and then he comes right back. So, not trying to discredit his injuries, but he's I've gotten more comfortable when he lays down. Not that I ever want to see him down, but I think he might be banged up a little, but I just don't feel like game 1 was an anomaly, but I don't think last game he felt like he needed to necessarily take over. They kind of, I mean, what we start 10-0. We were beating their ass right out of the gate. So I would like to see him do it though. I'm sure he's banged up a bit. I just think he hasn't felt the sense of urgency to just go get his right away. And I would like to see that tonight.
Yeah, just to add to your point there real quick, Trip. Like you said, and it just seems like when he doesn't score 40, it's a bad performance. And that's just a testament to how great of a player Anthony Edwards is. The last game, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, a block. Like you said, plus 21. He shot over 45%. It wasn't a bad Anthony Edwards game, like by any means. He has just figured out a way in the playoffs to impact games differently than he has in the regular season. In the regular season, we saw Ant try to ISO ball, do it all by himself, and it just frankly didn't work. Come playoff time, we've hit on it before. It just seems like Ant understands what's at stake. His IQ takes a jump. His decision making takes a jump. Everything just seems to take a leap when April hits. So I feel like that is kind of also what separates Anthony Edwards too from like a Jimmy Butler in this case. Ant can turn it on when he needs to. I'm not ready to say that a 36-year-old, 35-year-old, however old he is, Jimmy Butler can. So that's just one of the perks of having such a young superstar, that he can impact the game in so many different ways in the playoffs, and he doesn't need to go out and score you 40 points every night.
Evan, I have a question for you guys.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Who scares you the most on the Warriors?
Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield when he's locked in.
Yeah, probably either Buddy or I think Brandon Pajemski is a really like underrated player. I think he's like a guy that could explode in one of these games and win it for them. I don't know why. I just have this feeling like that he's kind of like their Dante DiVincenzo. So he could just explode any time for like 21, 22 points, 25, win a game, get hot. I could see that, especially if they're taking out, like the Timberwolves are taking out like Buddy Hield. Jimmy Butler's getting focused. I still think Jimmy's going to get his because obviously he's a great player. Yeah, I'll probably go with Brandon Pajemski for me.
And I think I'm gonna change my answer real quick. I totally forgot just because he's gotten so many DMPs. Jonathan Kuminga. Like, are we
Yeah.
serious? He played so well last game, and he
Yeah.
played great game one. He's coming out with a vengeance because the Warriors, it doesn't seem like want to pay him. So he's playing for his next contract right now. So now that I think about it, I think Jonathan Kuminga, because I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the starting lineup tonight.
Yeah, God, I forgot about He did have a great game last
Yeah.
year. I was kind of hoping they'd hide him on the bench a little more and just not
Right.
play him. Damn it. I had to ask, sorry to derail it, because like I mentioned, I have this sneaky, weird feeling that Buddy's just going to go ape shit tonight. That's a guy since he came out of Oklahoma, and then he kind of had some opportunities to get him on a cheaper contract throughout his tenure. I'm like, that's a guy I've been dying for the Timberwolves to pursue. He's just at any moment can give you 40. So I had to ask because I have this weird suspicion that he's going to have a great game, but now I'm thinking about Kuminga. So thank you, Matt.
There's another player who's just like Jonathan Kuminga, but he plays for Minnesota. We're going to get to him in just a second, guys. Timberwolves fans, it's Evan from the Daily Wolves here, and guess what? We have another watch party coming up this Saturday, May 10th at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. We finally get a weekend game. It's not a 9 p.m. start. That's right, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, and it's going to be located at Savage Tap in Savage, Minnesota. So if you're in the South Metro area, Prior Lake, Burnsville, Shakopee, Lakeville, Chanhassen, or nearby, then you're definitely going to want to go to wolvesrealtor.com because they're hosting a playoff watch party at the Savage Tap, and every single fan is invited. There's going to be raffle prizes, games, other fans ready to cheer on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and a bonus. The Savage Tap is dog friendly, so bring your fellow wolf along. To reserve a spot, again, head to wolvesrealtor.com. While you're there, you can also request a free no obligation home value estimate or schedule a real estate consultation if you're thinking about buying or selling this spring. It's going to be a great time. Come boo Jimmy Butler with us. Check out wolvesrealtor.com for all your details. Julius Randle, guys, the Kuminga of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And you know what? The parallels of their body shape, what they do, is kind of similar to how Julius played in the beginning of the year. And Kuminga comes in, he's scoring his points, but he's been a negative in the plus-minus side, guys. And I think in the beginning of the year, maybe we saw Julius doing that, kind of trying to go forcing some things, but he's scoring, trying to get his. But now Randle's turning into an all-around player, and he's been a star in the postseason, and an absolute star. He's one of the best players in the playoffs, period. In the whole playoffs, no matter what team it is, guys. 22 points for Julius Randle per game, 5 rebounds per game, 5.6 assists, and 61% true shooting percentage. This guy has been a dog, an absolute dog in the playoffs. Last game, almost had a triple-double. He was a star. When Ant had, only scored 20 points last game, Julius stepped up. And you don't need the scoring from Ant if Julius is playmaking and Ant is playmaking. That is an all-around game. And then you see guys like Jaden, who had 16 last game. Naz Reid, who had a good game. Nikhil had 20 last game. All those different players, because these guys, the star players, are willing to take a backseat to their other role players, share the ball, get them involved. That's how the Timberwolves are going to beat this team. That's how they're going to spread it around. They got to take advantage of it, guys. How good has Julius been, and why are they affecting the game so much, Matt?
So we talked about it earlier during the Lakers series. I was hesitant to call Julius a playoff riser just because of his past. He had a weak supporting cast in New York. He was kind of just swarmed, to be quite frank, whenever he played in New York. He was the guy. It was Julius Randle and what was it? Derrick Rose coming off an injury and some other players. So Julius just didn't have the team around him. And then in this playoffs, he's just completely turned his narrative around. Last game, he had 11 assists, to your point about him playmaking. And I think that's where Julius Randle is at his best, especially say when the Warriors break down in a zone against us. If you can get Julius Randle in the middle of that zone or just anywhere around the elbow to the free throw line, good things just seem to happen. Julius Randle is such a strong player that his gravity, it forces defenses to collapse on him because he's going to bully your center out of the way, or he's going to hit that weird step back fadeaway jumper. And if you do collapse, you have Nikhil in the corner, you have Ant in the corner, Dante, Mike, you have the shooters around Julius for him to succeed. And to your point as well, when Ant's not playing well, Julius is just a freight train of a human being, and he's going to run you over. So Julius Randle has definitely been one of the most important parts to our playoff run. Obviously, Ant needs to play well. Jaden taking his game to another level yet again has been huge. But Julius Randle solidifying himself as a true number 2 option, I feel like, is something that's gone underlooked a little bit in these playoffs. Because you see what ESPN's talking about. Jokic is playing great this playoffs. Ant's played well. Jamal Murray's played well. You don't see a lot of the big outlets talking about Julius Randle, you know, like you'll get the mention that, oh yeah, he's not slipping like he did in New York anymore. But Julius Randle has literally done what he's done in New York and almost doubled it and made it better and he's turned the narrative around that you can win a title, you know, with Julius Randle. Because I'm getting off track now, but there was whispers of, you know, you can't win a title with Julius Randle as your second best player. And over these last 30 games, we're 24-6 when Julius plays. And it looks to be the complete opposite. So I've just loved the whole story with Julius about even fans just having kind of like a harsher welcome for him. And it just seems like Minnesota's completely turned around. It seems like guys like we love Julius Randle. And I'd say he's playing some of the best basketball of his career on top of it as well.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I might argue that from a matchup perspective, he might be the best matchup to throw at Golden State. Just from like Matt, he kind of touched on it, but like his physical presence, his strength, his size, everything he can do. Like the Jimmy Butlers of the world, the Kumingas, who are pretty solid defenders, even Jimmy in his later years rather. Like a dominant physical presence like that. Obviously, you got Rudy Gobert in the paint, who's tall, right? They don't have a tall, like a real center, but I just think you keep getting him on the running some screens and getting him on a mismatch with just about anybody on that Warriors team. I think he can be the kryptonite. Of course, Anthony Edwards is who he is. We know he's a top 5 player in basketball, top 10 player in basketball. But I do think for this matchup, I think you can attack the Warriors day in and day out by just feeding Julius Randle wherever on the floor. 3-point, I don't care where he's shooting from, but I'd like to see him ideally driving and getting to the basket. But I would say he's probably our best matchup tonight that I'm definitely most looking forward to.
He's been incredible. He's literally changing everything with this team, and we have to just give him his flowers, guys. I mean, he's been awesome. We've criticized him before, but Randle, just an absolute game changer for the Timberwolves. Pretty much, if they make it out of this round, you can just kiss any narrative about Randle being on any other team or involved in any other trade goodbye. Like Minnesota is going to retain him.
Yep.
They've been proven now. I think what you're seeing is this is proving that he can play. Chris Finch wasn't crazy when he played him and believed in him this whole time. Tim Conley, all of them, when they had this plan, this vision to move on from Cat, and it's worked out for both teams, for both sides. New York's playing well or Cat's playing well in New York too. So this has worked out for both teams, which is so rare with the trade. And let's not forget, Minnesota is also going to have a first-round pick, a higher first-round pick, because of the Randle Cat trade as well, via the Detroit Pistons pick. So they can go out and draft somebody. Let's say if they lose Nickeil Alexander-Walker, now you have that. Or maybe you do need to draft a point guard for the future, or another ball handler, I should say, if you need that, because Conley's getting old. Maybe Rob is a little shaky right now. I'm not really sure what they believe on that in the organization, but still, he's there. Do you need another big? Let's just say for backup in the future, maybe you can start bringing in somebody with a higher upside. I don't know, but you have those picks this year. Minnesota also has the first pick in the second round. That's pretty much a first-round pick, guys.
Pretty much a first-rounder, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much a first-rounder at that point, right? So if anything, Minnesota has ammo now. They have flexibility. They have Randle. And if they did decide they wanted to make a trade, let's just say hypothetically, Randle's trade value right now is skyrocketing up, which it wasn't before. And so now all of a sudden you have all these options for the Timberwolves, whatever route they choose. Again, I feel like he's stamping it to the ground and saying, I'm here to stay. You can see the whole team has came together, and he just fits so well by being that point playmaking forward for the Timberwolves. His defenses came around. I think he's believing in himself, and he looks healthy finally from that injury. We have a fan who says, did we see the remark of the comments of Draymond Green? We did see that, man. That was going around everywhere on social media. I don't know what was said, but if anything racist or whatnot was being said, that's too bad, because that's not who the Wolves fans are. But I also think, just with the whole thing with Draymond, his antics on the court, what he's complaining about after the game, I think Draymond Green you can't say certain things about why everyone comes after him, like why the refs after me, why is everyone after me? When you go out repeatedly and you're stepping on guys, you're doing things. We saw him hit Naz Reid last series against the Rockets. He had little scuffles, and it just feels like Draymond is this close, guys, to bubbling over, throwing a punch at somebody like Jaden, like Naz, or especially Gobert.
Rudy again.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a matter of time. I just think at this point, Draymond Green, I hear his crying, but like you gotta just realize you do it to yourself, man. You do all these things, and the same things that make you great sometimes don't make you great. But yeah, we did see that. So I don't know what you guys think about the Draymond stuff, or if we should show him a lot of sympathy over a bunch of things.
Yeah, that's kind of in the past. I don't really have much to say about it. It happened. It happened. The fans dealt with, like you said, it's not a
Yeah, the fan thing's
representation
not
of
okay either way,
Minnesota.
though.
Not
That's not okay
not
either way.
okay. But with the whole Draymond thing, dude, this man's got to like. At what point do we like? It just feels like he's like treated differently. You know, like he has like that royalty or like that special power. You know, because like. He's screaming, that's effing BS in the ref's face. If Anthony Edwards does that, that's a $250,000 fine in the mail the next day, dude.
Yep, and
so
attack for
it's
sure.
like, exactly. So it's like it's not even the fact that it's like I hate like that it's Draymond doing it. If you're the league, just keep it a buck the whole way through. If you're gonna fine Ant for it, fine Draymond. If you're gonna fine Isaiah Stewart, fine Draymond for it. Like that's the part that bugs me is if you can find Isaiah Stewart for things, you can sure as hell find Draymond Green for things.
Why wasn't it a flagrant one either? I don't get it. In the regular season or any time, it doesn't matter if it's a playoffs. A flag one is pretty much defined as if you're going towards, if it's a shot, it's not a basketball play, it's a shot towards the head, the neck area. That's an automatic flagrant one too. He didn't get it.
I think that now sets the precedent. So then fuck it. Let's let him play. I don't want any ticky tack shit tonight. Let him play. If you're gonna not flagrant one that, then let him fucking play.
That's what I'm saying too. And like I touched on it too. Like he doesn't play when Steph doesn't play. He gets kicked out all the time. I bet you the rest were like, that's not happening tonight, dude. It's the playoffs. You gotta play.
Yep.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. And now he's going back to Golden State. The league's taking a look at things. This has been brought up. It's on national attention. So now I'm wondering if tonight it's going to be like a whistle every freaking 10 seconds for both teams. If the refs are going to start implementing things, or I don't even know. It's just something feels like something's going to happen because of this with the refereeing tonight. It's either going to be that, or it's going to be just like a ticking time bomb where Draymond just absolutely explodes. I'm surprised Jimmy's kept his temper pretty well under control so far too. I think Jimmy is also a guy who could randomly tick at a certain time. Shout out to Minnesota fans making it hell for Jimmy Butler, booing him. Jordan Dye, our boy over there, letting him know in the middle. But I think this is it for Golden State. You got to win. If you're the Warriors, this is it. You're home right now. You have your fans behind you. You know they're going to be there. If they're going to feed off anything, it's these games. If you go down 3-1 against Minnesota, they could be in trouble real quick. And then, so it'll be interesting to see them. They can't take them lightly. We know, again, Minnesota, notorious to taking teams lightly without their star players. And, the Wolves have to just be serious every single time, because if they come out and they perform like they did in the beginning of last game, they're in good shape. It was the letting up. It was a little bit of the shaky stuff later in the game. I know Minnesota won by a lot last game, but you can just stomp on them and break their spirits early, and that's it. And then you can play Terrence Shannon Jr. a bunch of minutes, and Rob Dillingham can see some time and get his playoff debut. And that's and get the guys rest. That's also key, is get Ant rest when he's banged up. Mike, who's older, Rudy, who's older, get these guys some breaks, but you got to perform. You got to step on them early, take it out, destroy the Warriors, man.
One thing you said that I think resonated with me right away is this is it for the Warriors from that perspective. Yeah, they can't afford to go down 3-1, but I want to see the Wolves come out with the same energy. This is it. There's no Steph Curry. You need to go up 3-1. Yep. No excuses. Get out there and go play ball tonight.
Yeah, 100%. If you guys are cool with it, I know we're kind of getting to that point.
Yeah.
But you said two things earlier that really got me thinking that I want to take us off topic real quick. So I don't need a crazy in-depth answer from either of you guys. But one being with Julius Randle, like you said, it feels like he's cemented and staying here. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think we do with Julius Randle? It feels like at this point, it's not worth trading Julius. He found where he's supposed to be in the team. It feels like he understands his role. What am I looking for? He's good friends with Ant, it seems like, and it seems like everything is there, you know, the numbers are starting to produce. We're starting to win. Like, is there any big name that you would be like, yes, like, I understand Julius is playing great, but is there like one name that you'd be like, see you later?
That's tough.
No, because nobody that is going to be available we can outbid on any other team, unless it's like a sneaky behind the back trade like how Luka Doncic went, where no one really knew about it, or
Yeah.
it's like a trade where a superstar is like demanding that they want to come to Minnesota. We just don't have enough. I mean, I think from what you saw of the Houston get eliminated, they're gonna go out and do something. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like Houston getting eliminated in that game 7 was pretty much me being like, like they're going after Giannis, KD, like 100%. Like one of them's coming there, probably Kevin, but I'm like, they're going to make some changes because they saw in those moments they just did not have it. They didn't have like that go-to star player. I think their coach has brought that up before too. And so I think like Houston's an example of a team like that. I don't think Minnesota's going to panic or look at it. I think they believe Jaden took a step. Anthony Edwards is taking a step again, and he's so good. Now Julius fits. And if Jaden or if Ant and Jaden and Nas Reed can take steps, the younger core, and just take one more, we can compete. We're this close. We made it to the, let's say, West Finals maybe 2 years in a row. We're this close. These guys are getting older. I think they believe that that's kind of the path.
I would say this. I think that the easiest solution that I think of is a lot like what they did with Gobert, which is like, hey man, look, you found a home here. It took a bit, the fit at first was tough, but we committed to you. We committed to this. It worked out. Now we're in a good spot. I think you do the Tim Conley special. You say, let's toss that player option out the window, toss it in the garbage, and let's find a number that makes sense for both sides and get an extension done.
Yep, I'm in the same boat as you, Trip. And then my last question for you guys. Like you were talking about with like the ball handler, the wing, if we lose Nikhil, what do we go after in the draft? I guess what is your guys like ideal position? Say, do we trade our first round pick? Do we keep it and do we draft somebody? Because I feel like right now where I'm kind of at, Rudy's been playing great, right? But statistically, when bigs get older, they start to drop off a little bit. So I feel like if you are the Wolves, if there is a name that's catches your eye, do you go after, say, a rookie center, or would you go a different way in free agency? If you can get under the second apron and go get a mid-level exception big, and then like you said, Evan, go get a wing or a point guard. I guess what would you guys do with that first round pick?
Do you know, Evan? I have an answer if you don't.
I'd probably go after the big. Yeah. I think they believe in Rob, what he brings. I think they believe in what they kind of have there, and he's still young. And so I think Minnesota would go after a big, like you said. I think Rudy Gobert is somebody who could be in trade talks this summer. We're not trying to spread anything. It just is what it is. Like the Lakers, perfect team, perfect example of a team that would be maybe willing to take on Rudy Gobert's contract. And I think Minnesota could maybe move off him. I don't think they're necessarily going to for sure, but I think you draft a big regardless if you're planning to hold on to it for a year, develop him, or just maybe Gobert gets moved at the trade deadline. You also have that security, but there is the mid-level exception as well, like you said, Matt, where you can go out and get a big if you want to. People keep forgetting this. Minnesota is going to have money to go get a mid-level exception player, which they haven't had in a while. The last time we brought in a mid-level exception player was Kyle Anderson. So this is a good, solid player, whoever they're going to get. Also, mid-level exception players, they're going to sign with certain teams that are at the top of their list over other teams because they're a contender, because they are a good team, because they have an attraction of people. Minnesota is going to be at the top of a lot of people's lists of those, the people that are in the mid-level exception tier because of Anthony Edwards, because they're a deep team. So they're going to get a good pick, whatever player's there. Think of a Bobby Portis. We brought him up before. Not even necessarily like a complete center, but just that's the type of caliber player Minnesota's going to be able to go out and get. If you do lose a ball handler, let's say Nikhil, you can also in the mid-level go out and get a ball handler with the mid-level exception. So it is not the end of the world if they lose Nikhil Alexander-Walker. You still have the mid-level exception, guys. What do you think, Trip?
Yeah, I mean, I think specific to your question, Matt, around the draft pick, I think Tim Conley needs to sit down with his scouting staff and they need to identify one. No one knows the way the board is going to fall better than these GMs and these front offices. It's the same thing in the NFL. Like they all trade up. They know what they're doing outside of what the national media and everyone else thinks. So I think they sit down, they identify, hey, is there a big or two that we love that we feel extremely confident will be there? The answer is no. I would personally, because I do believe we are in a win now window, as long as Anthony Edwards is here, that win now window is open. And with Chris Finch's kind of track record, I don't anticipate anyone that we would draft in that spot to be someone who would step in from day one and have a really big impact. So I would package it ideally for, I would like to add another elite shooter. Like you've seen what having an additional, like when you have elite shooters everywhere, look at the Celtics. I mean, we kind of have it in Dante, but like a Peyton Pritchard, those types of people, you can never have enough of them. So I would ideally package it for another, just like a flame throwing 3-point shooter.
The only thing is it gets tricky. If you go out and you make a trade, you have to, because the Wolves are right there balancing on the apron, you would have to make sure that it's not too much. Otherwise, you can't even go get the mid-level exception. Then it's like it's kind of balanced out. I think the mid-level is going to get you a shooter like you're talking about without having to move your first-round picks. I think you draft the first-round picks because how strapped cash Minnesota is going to be in the future. You need rookie scale contracts. I just think those are so valuable. That's what Minnesota is going to be after. I can't see them moving the picks because of the money situation.
Then they need to be more comfortable playing those guys or drafting guys that can step in from day one. Because I am a high ceiling first, can take the highest ceiling player that can play in 2 or 3 years, like Rob Dillingham. I think he has a really high ceiling. I don't think he was ready to play this year. Totally fine. I like that idea. I don't want a high floor guy with my first round pick. That's what the second round is for, in my opinion. So if that's going to be the case, they may have to shift that approach a little bit and go get a really high floor guy like a Terrence Shannon, who is probably the person that's going to slate in next year and have some of that role that I'm referencing, because he can shoot a bit. But they got to kind of, that player has to have an impact because this team is in such a good window to compete.
Do you want to add anything, Matt, or just want to wrap it up there?
You guys covered everything I was going to say.
No, I know. I feel like we got enough said on the show today. It's been a good episode here. We shot up 30 minutes on the live for you guys. This is going to be on Apple and Spotify as well. So pay in mind if you're listening to it later. But we still threw, I think, some good stuff on this episode, even post-game, regardless of the outcome. Things to look forward to this offseason, kind of what we think. This is the Daily Wolves Courtside. We should be live tonight post-game. So come back for a post-game live show after tonight's game again. Shout out to Heather, who's partners with us. If you need a Timberwolves watch party tonight that you want to go to, Savage, Minnesota, go to the Savage Tap location. They're going to be doing giveaways, prizes. You saw that earlier, all that stuff. And you can meet Heather, just hang out with Wolves fans. That's just one of the places. There's other places around town too, but shout out to Heather and the Savage Tap location. We'll see you next time, guys. And as always, go Wolves.
Go Wolves.